Okay, guys, let's go. First of all, I'm going to say that the real first day was the day before than this, when I actually went to the tattoo shop for my first class. And other than him, like my teacher slash mentor, giving me the instructions for the homework I'm showing you, he also let me sit by him while he was tattooing and get to see the workflow. So I would recommend you guys do that too. If you don't have access to a teacher or someone who will tattoo in front of you, you can just go to a tattoo shop and ask if you can sit there. Or in YouTube, there's plenty of videos of people tattooing in real time, so you can check those out. So now on to what you can actually do on your first week if you want to self-teach yourself, as I almost always do with everything I know how to do, how to tattoo. So the instructions he gave me was to basically go back to the basics and to make cones, cubes, and spheres first. And there's a couple of instructions because my lines I do draw, or I have drawn before. I wouldn't say I'm a professional or anything, and my lines are way harder to do when I'm doing these homeworks than when I drew. And that's because you can't just leave a line in the middle of making it. You have to go all the way through or stop and then start from behind and continue. Like the line has to look like one line. Of course, you can't erase because you wouldn't be able to do that on skin. You have to go from up down because of the skin. And also, I normally would flip my paper a lot for my hand to have a comfortable place for my hand not to shake. But if you're tattooing someone, you can't just turn them around like crazy or sit on them or something. So not turning around the paper, not much anyways, because you can tilt a little bit if you're tattooing someone, but you can't completely turn around. So this sketchbook is actually very uncomfortable. It doesn't open completely and the paper is really bad. So that's great for this because the circumstances, skin and volume will be not optimum in someone. So those were my cones, and now we go to the cubes. Cubes are easier than the cones. Sorry for the quality. This part I recorded on my phone because my camera wasn't working, so it's overexposed. And also my head is all over the shots. I did get better at this, and I will get better when I do the week 2, I promise. But at this point, I didn't know that was happening. So for the shading, I did always the first line with ink shading, just like stipling, hatching, and all those fun things, just because a lot of tattoos are made out of only black ink and lines. And then the other shapes, he told me to shade and do gradients with color pencils, because I guess that's the closest to the ink. It was especially important, the transitions and blending between colors and the saturation of the colors. He wanted those to be perfect. And so you can focus on those things. I definitely haven't used color pencils before, almost ever, since I was a kid. And it wasn't easy to figure out how to blend them. You have to do one like soft and then put pressure, play around with it. It was not easy. I oil paint, I know how to blend there, I think. You don't really have to blend, the aesthetic is not to blend, but color pencils is a different game. I don't know, and graphite pencil too. So I played around and I got better as days went by. My lines at this point were still shaky, not horrible, but definitely not tattoo worthy yet. So practice make perfect, because I think my lines got better each day. So this was the last day, the spheres of the basics. So this is the last boring day, in other words. I personally decided to do 1 page of my sketchbook a day. That's how I divided the workflow. And then so first day was the class, then 1 page per day. And then this is the 6th day. Tomorrow I have the class again. And today I'm editing this video. So this did not help me get better at tattooing, but I really want to share this with you. So here we go. The spheres were the hardest to blend and to put the colors, put the pressure, and not go out of the lines because the pencils are so much thicker than the line. So yeah, here a little pause, some matcha. And yeah, this is the last day of the basics. One thing I need to remind you, if you tried and you feel like your lines are horrible, therefore you can't be a tattoo artist, please don't. It was so fast how my lines started getting better, so be patient and stick with it. And now to the fun stuff. The other homework he told me was to make 2 designs of tattoos that I would like to tattoo. So I'm obsessed with engraving style illustration, like antique illustration, antique art, really in general, calligraphy, books, decoration, scrolls, all of that I'm in love with. So that's what I went for. And I don't know if it was because this was more fun and I was enjoying it and I was therefore more patient, but my lines were incredibly better. I'm also better at not showing my head in the camera, so yay to that. So yeah, I took these 2 references from Pinterest. He told me to trace them, so what I've been doing is tracing them 2 times, which is even better because I print it out first, then I put some graphite on the other side. So then I trace it the first time to transfer it to my sketchbook, and then I ink my sketch, which would be the tracing number 2. So yay. At this point I was having a lot of fun. I was nervous at the same time because I would put in my head in the situation that this would be actual skin and whoever I was tattooing would live with this on, and whatever mistake I made was going to be there forever. No pressure. So yeah, and definitely it wasn't perfect. It was way better, but it wasn't perfect. And also I realized that transferring so many details made it that I couldn't even see the big things. So that's another lesson learned, not to transfer all the details but the big shapes, and then just add the hatching freehand, in other words. But still it was better. I learned, it was fun. So you go ahead and trace as many illustrations as you can and have a lot of fun with it. According to my teacher, it would take me between 2 and 3 months to learn to tattoo. He has taught people who have never drawn before, who are not artists whatsoever, and it took them 3 months to get to a point where they are tattooing, like completely on their own. So don't get discouraged at this point again, and this goes for you and me, because I do get scared that maybe I don't have what it takes. But I showed him pictures of my sketches and the homework so far, and he thinks I'm doing well, and he knows he is an expert. So yeah, hang in there. This, by the way, is illustration. Well, it's not an illustration because it's an engraving, really, before printers. I'm obsessed. From 1866. I love it so much. Oh my god, I will get this one tattooed for sure. I have to be careful to not get all my body tattooed now that I'm gonna do this, but I'm very excited, and I'm very excited to share all my journey with you guys too. So let's see how it goes. I'm using a pigment ink liner and the size is 0.3. I made a quick research and I think there's a needle this size, so feel free to do the same. That line in the bottom is the one I really messed up. If it wasn't because of that, I think it would be fine. Also the middle part, it has like some diamonds, like a net, and I didn't like how it was coming out, so I ended up blacking it out. That's what I'm doing now. And yeah, but other than that, improvement, it's nice, I think. Yeah, so here I'm erasing the pencil lines, and that's the end result. And here to day 5 and last, I did another engraving illustration style. This one was more challenging because you had different widths of lines, and you would make them with the same pen because they have different shapes. So I first lined the whole drawing. Well, first I transferred, as I told you, and then with the liner 0.3 I traced all the pencil lines, and then I went ahead to add volume to these lines in the different shapes. Like some are more triangular, some are all the way, some have like bumps, like lines with bumps and stuff like that, to create the shadows and the lights and everything. It was challenging. I still think it's my best one so far, but I want to challenge myself to do this style because in the ideal world, this is the kind of tattoo I want to be making. I love this style. I would have fun for the rest of my life doing this. So I want to practice what I want to do, and I encourage you to do the same. this, I finished my first week of learning how to tattoo. So if you want to follow along, do your homework, and I'll tell you next week what you have to do for the next one. See you. Bye.